Hello, welcome to Rough Cut Film Review. This is a review of Surf Nazis Must Die. It's a Troma film that's widely considered to be one of the worst films ever made. To find out more about Troma, look up the Troma Award website if you are so inclined. So, Surf Nazis Must Die. There's been an earthquake in a city, I think it's in California. Something like 50,000 people have died as a result of the earthquake. And as such, law and order has broken down, particularly amongst the beach seaside community. There are some Nazis who are also surfers, as you can imagine. We're in the near future, and the surf Nazis are one of these beachside gangs which are taking over now that law and order is breaking down. Their leader is called Adolf, understandably. There's also a Mengele, named after Joseph Mengele, and there's an Eva, named after Eva Braun. How very clever. It's one of those films which really sound better than it's going to be. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun and offers very little in the way of entertainment. So plot-wise, and it's worth mentioning, the plot here is simple yet incredibly difficult to follow. So, plot-wise, there's a black lady. She's been just checked into a retirement home, and she's out for revenge against the surf Nazis. And they've got their own Hitler Youth and everything, but it's not funny. Actually, the film does start fairly positively. We've got sort of silly, low-budget exploitation stuff with really good music that's ripped off of other films. And initially, the idea of surf Nazis actually appealed to me. I thought it was going to be a bit of fun. So, alongside this gang of surf Nazis with their little Hitler Youth contingent, we have Eleanor, who's the black lady entering the retirement home, and the utter breakdown of society is characterised by one of the old dears at the retirement home saying, "I had my bag stolen at the beach. I only put it down for a moment." So the idea of society utterly breaking down and anarchy reigning is rather charmingly middle class in this film. What we're looking at really is a poor man's version of The Warriors, which was of course itself a B-movie. There are massive amounts of deliberately ripping off of A Clockwork Orange. We even get a hilarious speech to combine the beach gangs, which would be something from The Warriors. "Sand, we are not getting enough out of it," says the baddie Adolf. We then get an excellent bit of overacting, but it's surprising how a film with so much silliness is so dull, and at an hour and 10 minutes it long outstays its welcome. The film makes little or no sense. It's so difficult to follow the plot, I can't even tell you. I understand that Roger Ebert actually physically left the screening room after about 30 minutes of being in there, never to come back, and I can completely understand why. It's not because it's violent, it's not because it's repugnant, it's not because of the nasty, awful themes in it, it's because the film is a complete mess. And it also manages to be extremely boring as well. The film lacks any kind of real narrative, the film doesn't have an arc, it doesn't have character development, and it just doesn't go anywhere. The novelty wears off very quickly, and once it does, you've got an extremely dull, ironic comedy without any jokes, or without any comedic elements that work. The music's good, although to be fair, it was ripped off of other films. There is interspliced within the film, there's some decent surfing at points, although these scenes almost seem to be thrown in at random, so we'll have a bit of boring exposition which isn't going anywhere, and then straight away, for little or no reason, we'll go, "And now some surfing, watch these guys surf." And the surfers, from what I know about surfing, which is pretty much nothing, look very competent. It's quite sad when you see a film that's considered to be this controversial or loathed, and it's just so dull, it's poorly acted, poorly thought out, a complete mess of a film. I mean, the cinematography, the direction is a complete and utter joke. It's so slack. The film could probably be accused of being racist, which I don't think is the case, because the heroine is, of course, a black lady, although they clearly think that's hilariously funny. But ultimately, the film is so hard to follow, with so little payback. It gives you so little in return for your attention. There are loads of errors in there, mistakes and issues with continuity and all the like, but you'll probably be so bored after about 20 minutes that you simply won't care, let alone try and spot them. It's bad filmmaking, terrible filmmaking. The worst kind of filmmaking. It's not so bad it's good, it's so bad it should not exist, should never ever have been made. It's billed now as a comedy, it's not a comedy, it's a horrible exploitation film. It's the bottom of Troma's very deep barrel, and if I'd have watched this film without doing a review, there's no way I'd have seen this all the way to the end. I'd have switched it off after 20-30 minutes without a shadow of a doubt, but I just wanted to get through it to do the review. Not because it was disgusting, not because it was controversial, not because there's stuff in there that offended my sensibilities, but because it's an awfully made film. Kind regards, Christopher Thomas.